This episode is brought to you by HP Plus. In a world full of smart devices, isn't it about time your printer got smart too? Now printing is smart with HP Plus, and the HP Smart app is how it all happens. You can print from your phone with just a tap, no matter where you are, even from your garage/home office/yoga studio. Huh, that is smart. HP Plus. Learn more about smart printing at hp.com/smart. This episode is brought to you by PayPal. These days, choices are everywhere. Like, for instance, the milk in your coffee. Would you like it from a cow, a nut, a tree? Everyone wants options. And now your customers have a new option in the way they pay with PayPal in person. Just generate your unique QR code in the PayPal app for them to scan and start accepting PayPal in person today. Learn more at paypal.com/us/getQRcode.
Starburns Audio.
Coming to you live from our houses in Los Angeles, California, it's Nobody Listens to Paula Poundstone, your comedy field guide to life. Tonight, how awesome would you have to be if the least successful thing you were ever involved in was getting your face on a coin 70 years after you died? Well, you would have to be Susan B. Anthony level awesome, that's how. President and CEO of the National Susan B. Anthony Museum and House, Deborah L. Hughes, is here to talk about the iconic freedom fighter who gave no quarter, but who is often given away as a quarter. Seriously, those coins suck. Plus, look out below, we're about to drop a metric shit ton of knowledge. It's the return of our Potluck Info Party. I'm Adam Felber, the man who tirelessly crusades for the emancipation of coherent ideas from the oppressive swamp of confusion and irrelevance. And now, please welcome a woman who will fight just as tirelessly for the right of all women to say absolutely anything, at any time, and lives that dream every day. It's Paula Poundstone.
Hey, you guys! Hey, and thanks so much to tonight's house band, returning champ Ben Cassil on guitar, harmonica, and kazoo.
Wow, I didn't know one could play the harmonica and kazoo at the same time.
It can be done. It can be done. It's surgical. I got a note. Tony's not here, and I found a note from her.
A note?
It says, by the time you read this, I'll be in a small boat rowing out to a big cruise ship. I long for adventure, and you can't make me read Moby Dick anymore.
Jeez.
What the?
Wow.
We're finished reading Moby Dick.
Yeah, but she probably felt like she was going to be pulled right back in it. And she, you know how much she loves that below deck scene. She might be seeking out a completely new career.
Well, then it says, P.S. I'll be back in a month.
Oh.
So.
Not that much adventure.
Yeah, it was rage rowing, but it'll be over within a month. Oh, you know what? Speaking of Moby Dick, you know those cameo videos, right, that I make?
Yeah.
And apparently so does Donald Trump Jr. now.
Yes.
So that's a wide variety that you might get if you go over to Cameo. I did one for a guy who read Moby Dick along with us. I was so happy when I read that.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a guy named Gerard, and he joined the book club and read Moby Dick with us. Isn't that great?
Yeah, well, Gerard, happy to have you aboard. The book club will ride again. I think we might have to wait until Tony docks somewhere. But there will be another book club. We will find another book.
Yeah, well, we have to think of what the right book is. I don't know. I'm putting my teeny beanie to it.
Yeah.
I just don't know yet. Speaking of those cameos that I do, by the way, so there's reviews on them. And I don't know if you just get the good reviews, but I think one time somebody said they didn't like something. But every one that I look at, it's always sort of glowing to the degree that I've wondered if it was a computer writing the reviews, because they're very sort of consistent even with some of the language. But anyway, so I got one the other day that said, my wife loved it. Could have been helped with some editing, but
whoa.
Wow.
Yeah. Let's go back to the part where your wife loved it. What do you mean could have been helped with them? And by the way, you can't edit the video. You just talk into the thing and then you push the button and it sends. You can't edit it. But if I were capable,
Right.
I could edit my thoughts while I was talking. But I believe that I've proved beyond a shadow that's
Not really possible. I mean,
Not
I am
really.
partly here to edit your thoughts, and I fail at it every week.
I get up every morning and fall asleep every night with this thought in my mind that I'm gonna try to be, less verbose on the following day. I'm not gonna share all my thoughts. I'm gonna leave some mystery about who I am.
Yeah.
And so far, niet.
Yeah, nothing.
I have not been able to do that.
Well, let's move on anyway, because that's what I do around here. Let's send it around the horn, although it's really a horn of just one or two today without Tony. Up to the valley, the Simi Valley, where we heard her voice a little bit earlier. Your manager, our producer, everybody's friend, Captain Crinkle, Bonnie Burns. What's new?
Wait, I didn't know we were going to go around the horn today.
Oh, for heaven's sakes!
What the fuck?
We didn't say that at the meeting.
Tony goes off on an adventure, and the next thing you know,
Yeah.
Bonnie throws tradition to the.
As we do in every show not involving a book club, Bonnie, we're just checking in with you to see how you are.
Oh, okay.
What's
Well,
new?
When Bonnie was a kid, they would light the menorah on the 7th night, and she'd go, "Wait, I didn't know we were lighting a candle."
We did 6 last night. What is that? Doesn't tell me anything.
Yeah, exactly. What? Sure, we did the others, but I didn't know we were still doing it. Yeah, there's 8. There's 8. Psst, psst.
So what's new, Bonnie?
Okay. Well, first of all, there's a lot of pressure and stuff going on right now because Tony just went, what was it? She sent the letter or email and said, I'm on a cruise.
Yeah, well.
I found
really
a
left
note.
a lot for me to
By the
do.
time you read this, I will be in a small boat rowing out to a big cruise ship.
Yeah.
I long for adventure.
She's like my number one go-to person.
Okay.
Yeah, well, you're going to have to go a little farther.
In fact, I think I called Paula after I got the email and said, have you checked your email this morning? I think I'm going to shoot myself in the fucking head. And
Wow.
Speaking of that, Paula, do you remember the promoter we used to work with? And when he didn't get what he wanted, he'd say to me on the phone, well, fuck you very much, and hang up.
Oh, I remember you telling me that story. Yeah.
My job's not that easy.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
Okay, but I'm going to tell you why I was late. See, it's just another thing going on. Okay,
yeah, Bonnie was late.
well, I was late to the start of the show, so you guys had to wait a little bit for me.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Right.
And then I apologized, and Sam said, oh, that's okay. Just giving everybody the blow-by-blow. Okay,
Yeah, which I didn't ask
so-
for in any way.
No, I know that, but whatever.
Sam,
So-
can you roll the tape of that? Sam, could you just roll the tape of that?
Here's how we feed the dogs, because our dogs are driven by food. Okay, so we take these empty peanut butter jars, and kind you get at Trader Joe's that are plastic, and then I put the dog food in there, and then it takes them a really long time to get the food out because they have to get it out of a peanut butter jar. And it's pretty funny to watch them because they're walking around the house with these jars in their mouth, okay? I could not find these peanut butter jars. We have a cleaning lady, and we never can find where she puts stuff. So I was going all around the house and saying, what the fuck? Where the fuck could she have put these peanut butter jars? And that's why I was late, and I ended up never finding them. I had to throw the dog food on the floor, one in one direction, one in the other direction, so the dogs didn't fight over the food. And then I ran up here, called in so we could do the show.
And I want you to know that I only heard the very end of that because my audio went out when you started that story about your dogs.
Oh, my God.
It was a great story.
All right.
It was a great story. Adam, it was a compelling story. It was you felt the main character's struggle, and you rooted for, and yet they were an anti-hero. I can tell you that the story started out, they call me Ishmael.
Oh.
It wasn't a short story.
Well, the beginning I heard was I had to feed the dogs, and that's when I lost it. And then I came back to hear her say, so I threw one dish one way and one dish the other way, and I came upstairs. That's the entire story I got.
Okay. Yeah.
No, I
Well,
don't
that
use
was,
a dish.
that was the
I
story.
just throw the kibble on the ground.
Oh.
I had 2 handfuls in one direction, 2 handfuls in the other, and then they each run their separate ways.
I'm so relieved. I thought it was canned food you were talking about.
No.
Yes.
Have you ever been to dinner at Bonnie's house?
Yeah, I know, because like I think there was that time that you and I were at that dinner party, and she made chicken francese, I believe, and tossed one cutlet on the floor near the window, and I ran for that. I didn't see anything after that.
Yeah, well, I was over in the corner where the cupboards are, trying to get the rice. Yeah, it was weird. We didn't really talk. It wasn't that kind of a dinner party.
Right.
It was just, she just threw food.
She just kept throwing food in the various corners.
Yeah.
Oh, was that one time that she threw only one morsel, remember? And you and I both ran to the middle of the room and started growling at each other?
Oh, yeah. I beat the shit out of you over that.
Oh,
Sorry about
yeah.
that.
You had your,
I don't know what came over me.
You had your teeth on my neck, and Bonnie had to pull you off.
Yeah, Bonnie is the head chef and creator at that fancy Beverly Hills restaurant. Go and Get It.
Right. Which is right next to Shea Rovers. So you got two really upscale dog themed restaurants right next to each other.
I like to go to dessert at Fetch. It's just really, there's a whole row over there.
Oh, you
Great
can't get
stuff.
in there anymore. That's so trendy now.
Yeah, very popular. Very popular. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, you know what? It was my wife loved it, but it could use some editing. Yeah, okay, that's a nice thing to say.
Oh, okay, now, Paula, I just want to say, I think we're ready to put the lid on that bet you and I had from several weeks ago now. I think it was 2 months ago, where you insisted that we would have had at least 2 listeners who, when they were kids, played Oliver in the school play or the camp play or whatever, and would sing us a little bit of Who Will Buy. And to this point, right off the bat, you had somebody. You had one, and at one it stays, and you said we'd have at least 2, so... Are you ready to concede, Paula Poundstone?
Well, I'm not. I'm going to bring in the cyber ninjas to recount.
The count is 1. We don't really need the cyber ninjas. It's over.
Yeah. Yeah. Doesn't matter. Bringing them in to recount, and something might happen. You never know. Something might happen. It's going to be beautiful.
For my part, as I know you guys know, but I'll share with our listeners, after we record this... What?
Adam,
yes?
Answer the phone.
I never get to talk.
Answer the phone.
Okay, yes. Okay. Hello.
Hey, Adam, it's me, Mike Boom Boom Bonifant. I got a little bit of bad news.
What's that, Mike?
We're still going to hang out together, man, so don't go freaking out on me, you know what I mean? We're still going to hang out.
I doubt we will, but go ahead.
A friend of mine called me, she's a chick, a nice girl, though. And she told me she was in Oliver in summer camp as a kid. And I thought, cool, there's some good tunes in there, you know what I mean? I like more of the heavy metal, because it's heavier and more metal. But Oliver's cool, right? So I'm thinking she played Nancy or a maid or something.
Okay.
And fuck, no, man, she played Oliver. Listen to this.
Who will buy this wonderful morning? Such a sky I never did see. Who will tie it up with a ribbon and put it in a box for me?
Wow.
So
why is that
man,
bad news, Mike?
It looks like Paula wins a bet. I'm really sorry, man.
No, that doesn't mean that at all, Mike.
Honest.
She would have to be a listener to our show who played Oliver as a kid.
It was a listener. It was Robin Josephs. My friend Robin Josephs. It's a nice, really nice girl and everything. But, I couldn't keep it to myself, man. I had to be honest. You never should have bet $1 million.
Well, fortunately, I didn't bet $1 million. Paula
heard you. You bet $1 million.
Downgraded
Listen, man, I
to,
gotta go.
Yeah.
Don't try to borrow any money from me, dude, because I
won't.
All right, I gotta go.
Wow. Bye, Mike. Well, Paula, if Mike Boom Boom Bonifant is to believe, we have another listener. That makes 2, which is the subject of our bet.
That does make 2.
Who played
doesn't
Oliver
it?
in school and sang us some of that song. I feel like I didn't get a lot of information from Mike about it, but it sounds like you won the bet.
Well, it sounds like it was
Yay.
Robin Joseph's.
Well,
good for her.
Good for her.
That was very beautiful and very uplifting. I gotta say, you know what? If you started every day singing that song, that would be a great way to start a day.
Yeah.
It's an uplifting song.
It's kind of uplifting. It's not really my kind of music, but it's an uplifting song. But you know
so
what?
Your kind of music is more like funeral dirges? That's good. That's good. I think that's the right attitude. There you go.
I do want to say that you did win the bet, assuming that Mike is telling the truth. And I owe you not $1 million, but 2 red Wriggler worms.
2?
Are you sure it wasn't a bag of worms?
I think it was 2.
I can't imagine. What am I going to do with 2 worms?
I'll look.
I think it was a bag of worms.
I'll get you a bag if I need to get you a bag. But in any case, congratulations on winning the bet. Apparently, we have had 2 listeners who played Oliver.
Adam, I have a word.
Yeah, you're great.
Yeah. Yeah, it's indolent. It's an adjective that means wanting to avoid activity or exertion, lazy. Here, Albert Finney used it 3 times in the I Hate People song in one of my favorite Christmas movies, Scrooge. You know that part where he goes, I hate people, I abhor them, when I see the indolent classes sitting on their indolent asses, gulping ale from indolent glasses. Da, 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 da.
Isn't that the movie where Scrooge gets really upset and says he's mad as hell and not going to take it anymore?
No. That's a different movie. This is Scrooge. And he uses the word indolent. So when I saw it, I'm like, you know what? I've watched that movie, so many times over the years, and I never knew what that word meant.
All right.
So fixed that. This is a word that I should know for sure, indolent. So let's put this word right into the vocabulary song. This week's word is indolent. It's an adjective that means wanting to avoid activity or exertion, lazy. People who get up in the morning are crazy. Last week's word was sagacious. It's an adjective that means having or showing good judgment, catching a great Cirque du Soleil show in Las Vegas instead of choosing to pay rent. The week before that, the word was captious. It's an adjective that means tending to find fault or raise petty objections. The January 6th commission is too soon. It's too late. It's too broad. It's too narrow. It'll interrupt Trump's erections. Going back before that, the word was rebarbative. It's an adjective that means repellent or irritating. You're very cute except when you're regurgitating. And not long ago we had appursue. It's a noun that means a comment that makes a clever or entertaining point. A justice system that keeps people in prison for weed stinks up the joint. Let's never forget Gallimaufry, which I pronounced wrong until nobody James Hyder corrected me. It's a noun that means confused jumble or medley of things. Hodgepodge, who's podge, hodgepodge. Adam doesn't think my song is replicable, but I do.
Yeah, Paula.
Woo!
Wow, that was pretty special.
I'll bet you off on that rowboat. Tony is craving some Glock right now.
She's not indolent on that boat, and I would wonder whether she is craving Glock.
Oh, surely she is.
Yeah.
Or perhaps that's what's motivating her to row harder.
I think that might be motivating her to row harder. Coming up, Margaret Thatcher famously said, if you want something said, ask a man. If you want something done, ask a woman. And if you want something well done, you really don't appreciate a good steak. We talk Susan B. Anthony, a woman who got a lot done, next on Nobody Listens to Paula Poundstone.
It can be so freeing to get a fresh start or return to a baseline. I've heard. I'm actually the inbox on my Gmail is I have over 1,000 that I haven't deleted yet. But when I do, I'm gonna feel so good. If your hair's a little overdue for the same treatment, it's time for the clarifying detox shampoo from Way.
Now, you use Whey, Paula.
I do use whey. And, my hair is longer than it used to be. You know why? Because I haven't cut it. And one of the things I'm finding about whey is that it gives it more, I think they use volume. It's had more volume. And I don't know if that's from the shampoo itself or the conditioner, but it's a detox shampoo. And I don't know what tox was on my hair, but it's definitely lighter and bouncier and seems like more a part of the world now.
Wow, it's joined the world. Use whey once a week to neutralize product buildup, oil, dirt, and hard water from your hair and scalp without stripping away moisture. You can explore their full collection of cruelty, sulfate, and paraben-free hair care, body, and fragrance products online.
You know what? I've been using it more than once a week. I don't know if I was supposed to.
Jeez, you know.
Yeah.
You need to see a doctor right now.
I walk into a room, my hair fills the entire room. It's big. When you're ready to undo some damage, hit the reset button with the Whey Detox Shampoo. Go to THEOUAI.com and use code Paula to get 15% off your entire purchase.
That's THEOUAI.com, code Paula, for 15% off your entire purchase.
If you're going to try it anyways, use our code. With HelloFresh, you get fresh, pre-measured ingredients and mouth-watering seasonal recipes delivered right to your door. Skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. And that's why it's America's #1 meal kit.
HelloFresh offers 27 plus recipes featuring a range of flavors, cuisines, and ingredients, so you'll never get bored. Try something new every week. Plus, HelloFresh is 28% cheaper than shopping at your local grocery store and 72% cheaper than a restaurant meal without sacrificing any of the quality.
The meals I've made have been absolutely delicious, and they haven't taken that long to make. And I didn't realize that it was, what was that statistic? I didn't even realize it was 28% cheaper than shopping at my local grocery store, but I sure do like that idea.
It's nice.
I've tried foods that I previously thought I didn't like, actually, like couscous and, farro. And they were really, really, really delicious. It turns out I like them when they're done the HelloFresh way.
Try America's #1 meal kit. Go to HelloFresh.com/14Paula and use code 14Paula for up to 14 free meals plus free shipping.
That is a great deal. For 14 free meals and free shipping, go to HelloFresh.com/14Paula and use code 14Paula. If you're going to try it anyways, use our code. On this day in unremarkable history, Bono said, "Who wouldn't want an automatic download of my album on their phone?"
Thank you, house band Ben Cassil. Paula, a couple of weeks ago, we talked about the American Women Quarters program, which is asking for input about which significant women to feature on the quarter. And we responded by honoring a bunch of insignificant women. But that got you a-thinking, I'm told.
That's right. It made me think about the first woman to ever appear on a U.S. coin, which was Susan B. Anthony. And what that really made me realize is that she's a really significant woman, and I really don't know much about her.
Well, what can we possibly do about that?
I don't know. I was wondering if there was, I don't know, some sort of expert, or maybe there was a...
Well, I don't know if this can help at all, Paula, but we do have someone on the line right now who is the president and CEO of the National Susan B. Anthony Museum and House in Rochester, New York. Do you think that might help?
Oh my gosh. You know what? This show, you know how people say there's no such thing as coincidence.
Right.
I don't know, because we have coincidence after coincidence on this show.
Yeah, this is beyond coincidence to outright serendipity. As I said, she is the president and CEO of that Susan B. Anthony Museum and House. Please welcome Deborah L. Hughes. Welcome, Deborah.
It's great to be with you.
Thank you so much for being here. So, Deborah, why is Susan B. Anthony famous? Honestly, I never even heard of her until she was on the wasn't it a silver dollar she was on, right?
It was a silver dollar, yes.
And then there was no slot for dollars in the tray of a cash register, which is the same thing about the $2 bill. There was no slot for it. And this made it not very tradable.
That, and they changed so that suddenly vending machines could take dollar bills.
Yeah, that was...
that's a good point.
And, I mean, one of the main criticisms when the Susan B. Anthony dollar came out, and this was no fault of Susan B. Anthony's, is that it was only about 2 millimeters in diameter bigger than a quarter. So people were constantly giving them away as quarters.
Yeah. A lot of cheap people were really angry. All right, anyways, back to my original question, which is, why is she famous? Who was she?
You know, in the turn of the century, Susan B. Anthony and Queen Victoria were the two best-known women around the whole world, the turn from the 19th century to the 20th century. And partly because she was really, really good at promoting herself, because she was trying to promote a movement. And she was one of the first people to say, get press, get good press if you can, but just keep them talking. So Susan B. Anthony marketed herself.
Oh,
and she became
interesting.
pretty famous because she was so dedicated to human rights on all different levels. Even the people who despised her by the time she died, there was one reporter who said that this idea about women getting the vote, well, that will never happen. But she's changed the world more for women than anyone in any prior century.
Wow.
Well, now I feel like an idiot. So let me ask you this. What made her do it? What was life like for women without the vote? And what could she see? You know, because sometimes when someone has never done something before, why does it occur to them to do it?
Yes. Well, she was born in 1820. So the United States was only, about 50 years old. And everybody thought this was a crazy experiment, this democracy idea. And she was a Quaker. And Quakers had a pretty unusual religious idea, which was that every human being had within them the light of God or the universe, which meant that girls and boys, men and women all had that independent strength and also a sense of vocation. And so they were pretty unique in this idea that men and women should be equal before God and before others. And she was born into a world where slavery was legal. And she also was told that this nation had been founded on the idea of, no taxation without representation. And she felt the revolution wasn't finished yet, that really we could become a better democracy if everybody could be at the table and everybody would have a vote, men, women, all people. And so she, from her earliest days, had this internal sense that the world wasn't as just a place as it should be. And I think she just had it in her DNA to be a champion for human rights.
But at the time, to most people, right, that was like a crazy idea. That was like saying we're going to go to the moon before we went to the moon. Am I right about that? It made no sense to most people.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you talk about human rights, then can we even comprehend the idea that people were enslaving people and owning people? And a woman in most states in the early days, the law said a man and a woman become one, and the one is the man. And legally, Jane Doe, when she married Fred Smith, the reason she became Mrs. Fred Smith is because legally Jane Doe no longer existed in the eyes of the law. So she couldn't own property. She couldn't have a bank account. Any wages that she earned, if she did, were all his. She didn't have any rights to the children that she bore. It was a pretty different world. But that's just for women who looked like me. But
Right.
imagine for indigenous women or women from Asia or women who were enslaved, it was not a century we would want to return to.
No.
And Susan B. Anthony was also quite an abolitionist too, wasn't she?
Yes, and people don't know that. She was involved in a series of social justice issues. The first one was temperance. There was lots of alcoholism in the 19th century. And if you were married to an alcoholic, you couldn't legally get divorced. You couldn't leave. There was even a time when a man could indenture future children who were not yet conceived to pay his bar bill. And so, yeah, pretty lousy deal.
Yeah. Talk about being born on a dark day, right? Oh my gosh.
And a woman couldn't leave a marriage. Not only would she have society casting her out, but she couldn't rent or have a bank account or make a living on her own if she'd been married. And so Susan's first big cause was moderation in all things, including drink. And then she inherited from her parents a passion about ending slavery. And the Quakers actually split in the 1830s because a lot of Quakers felt you shouldn't be involved in politics and social issues because that was corrupt. And it was better to try to build a community separate from all of the sin and craziness of the real world. But then other Quakers said, we can't stand by and let this horrific institution of slavery continue. We've got to be socially engaged. And so Susan B. Anthony's father was an abolitionist. And on Sunday afternoons, if you went to the Anthony farm here in Rochester, you might meet a guy named William Lloyd Garrison or John Brown. And that's where Susan B. Anthony met Frederick Douglass through her father.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she was one of the first speakers in the New York State Abolition Society. And now imagine you're a single woman. If you travel by stagecoach in a lot of places, you can't go into the tavern and get a meal. You have to have packed all your food in advance. You couldn't rent a room because single women weren't allowed, only the wrong kind of women would do such a thing. And she traveled to all 62 counties in New York State to speak against slavery.
And was she a single woman her whole life?
She was her whole life, yes.
This was, by the way, this thing where you can't go in, and so you have to bring your own food is the polar opposite of what Disney does.
Yes.
Which is, you can't bring food in, you have to eat their bad food. So, all right, so how was she educated?
Well, she was educated. They did have a public school, and she went to that.
So she didn't do the distanced learning?
No virtual for her.
Oh, my gosh, you know what? She was so lucky.
They had distance learning in the late 19th century during one round of plague, at least on the East Coast, but it involved a lot of yelling.
Yeah.
And pigeons. Okay, so she went to a public school.
So, a district school, but when she got to be 11, she wanted to learn long division, and the teacher refused to teach her because they actually thought that if a girl exercised the muscle of her brain, it would cause other important female organs to shrivel. And so it was a waste of time to teach her math. But her father stood up for her and hired private tutors and said that his daughters should be taught anything they wanted to learn.
What? Now, why? Why did he know that?
Well, partly that Quaker belief that girls were just as valuable and significant as human beings as boys. And also, I think there are a lot of amazing women who had fathers who saw that in their daughters early on. And he was a good champion. So was her mother. They were both really good supporters of all the causes. So he said, teach her whatever she wants to know. And she was insatiably curious. Then she went to a place called Deborah Molson's Seminary in Philadelphia to get more like a higher education or high school education. And she ended up having to drop out of school because her father went bankrupt in the big stock crash of 1837-38. And so she went to work to help support the family, became a school teacher.
Oh. Do you think she was always driven to be on the silver dollar?
She actually, people talked about making statues of her. And she said the last thing she wanted to do was be a piece of iron that would collect pigeon dew.
Oh, gosh, what a great answer. I love that. All right, so then she became a teacher.
She became a teacher, yep.
And did she teach long division to girls?
She would have taught anything, I think. That's a good question, though. I would think she would have. She learned all the classics.
You don't have any of her lesson plans?
No. No, we don't.
What do you have in the house? Is it the house that she was raised in or a house that she moved to?
It's a house that she moved to. She moved there just after the Civil War. Her mother actually bought the house. Her mother had been widowed and moved in with her daughter, two of her daughters, Susan and Mary. And she lived there from 1866 to 1906. So those were her most politically active years when she was raising trouble all over. And it's the house in which she got arrested for voting in 1872.
So she voted illegally.
Well, I think she may have thought she voted legally. She based it on the brand new 14th Amendment.
Yeah, there were suffragettes that believed that you didn't need another amendment, right? That was what her argument was.
Yeah, when the 14th Amendment, it was one of those amendments after the Civil War was passed. And that's the one, Paula, that gives us gay marriage. It's the same amendment that says that anybody who's born here is a citizen of this country. And the women kind of looked around and said, wait a second, we're already citizens. Who knew? Here we've got the United States Constitution says we're citizens. So let's claim the right. And it was women all around the country that attempted to register to vote that year. In fact, even Sojourner Truth tried to register in Battle Creek, Michigan. So it was all part of all these early suffragists were out trying to register. Anthony and 15 women in Rochester succeeded. And on Election Day in 1872, they marched from the house where we are and right down Main Street, which was in Buffalo Road, and into the polling place and cast their ballot. And 2 weeks later, here comes the United States Marshal. Says,
wow.
Ms. Anthony, I have a warrant for your arrest for illegally voting. So news was out. It was a big deal. The newspapers from 1872 till June of 1873, this was like the trial to watch, the big deal. Even though other women were indicted, she was the only one who went to trial. And it was terrible. The trial ended up being Canandaigua, about an hour away by train. And the judge wrote the decision before the trial started.
Oh, my gosh.
Wouldn't let Anthony speak because this is a woman who'd been speaking all around the country for years and wouldn't let a woman speak because women were considered too hysterical to speak in a court of law.
Oh, and because of what the math had done to her private parts.
Exactly.
Yeah. I see the logic. I absolutely see the logic. Totally. I know that, I don't do a lot of math, but I much prefer to, to do like a bunch of numbers on the back of an envelope than to use a calculator. And I'll tell you, it's dried me up.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure calculus is birth control for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Suffragette Julia Ward Howe said, when I see the elaborate study and ingenuity displayed by women in the pursuit of trifles, I feel no doubt of their capacity for the most Herculean undertakings. We're going to get back to pursuing trifles later, I promise, but first, we're going to talk more about Herculean undertakings when we return. The cat of the week is Creamsicle from Tijuana.
Adam, I am loving sitting for a few minutes in the evening on the porch swing on my back porch. It's so beautiful as it starts to cool off a little bit until my dog Mo drops her dog spitty tennis ball on my lap. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Some of the greatest pleasures in life are also the simplest. That's why Everlane makes premium quality essentials that complement every wardrobe at a more transparent, affordable price.
I got to say, Paula, you and I have both been shopping Everlane for a little while now, and I had intended for the recording of this commercial promotion to be talking about this really cool but soft overshirt that I got that I've been wearing over T-shirts. It's a really good summer look for me. But believe it or not, just 3 days ago, we received in the mail this thing for Jeannie, my wife. It's a super soft summer jean coverall. It's kind of like a denim jumpsuit with short sleeves, and it's just the cutest damn thing I've ever seen.
Ooh, maybe I should get that. I got a pair of slip-on shoes that I love, and then also a T-shirt that it's simple. It doesn't advertise any bar on it. I think they call it a box shape, but I love it. It's comfortable, and I like how it looks. Everlane has made quality clothing with ethical factories and radically transparent pricing since 2010. They do extensive research and vetting to use ethical factories that provide fair wages and reasonable hours to the skilled people who craft their clothing. I love that.
Everlane has all the everyday essentials you need, from damn good denim, like that super soft coverall, to super soft loungewear, like that super soft coverall. And get a head start on your summer look with Everlane's sustainable swimwear collection, made from 13,768 pounds of recycled plastic, but not all in one bathing suit.
I was going to say you'll sink right to the bottom. Go to everlane.com/Paula and sign up for 10% off your first order plus free shipping.
And get easy returns within 30 days of your ship date. That's 10% off your first order when you go to everlane.com/Paula and sign up. If you're gonna do it anyway,
use our code.
And we're back with Deborah L. Hughes of the Susan B. Anthony House and Museum. Deborah, you said that Susan B. Anthony had a flair for self-promotion. She was one of the first people to get that there's no such thing as bad press. How did she get press at all in those days?
Well, she was a genius at it. By 1869, she had her own newspaper with Elizabeth Cady Stanton, The Revolution. She organized press groups and committees with all of, she was a huge organizer. She thought of herself more as an organizer than as a speaker. And she was gifted at it. You didn't want to be on the other side of her tongue. She was witty and entertaining and sharp and would never turn down an opportunity to speak to the press.
It sounds like she wielded the aperçu. It's a vocabulary word from a couple weeks ago. It's making a point in an entertaining way. So, how did she have a newspaper? I would think if you couldn't do your own banking, was that only after you were married you couldn't do those things? And so she still could because she wasn't married?
Actually, Paula, yes. There were times when she and Elizabeth Cady Stanton, and Stanton was married, when they were traveling together for the work, Susan B. Anthony would have to be the person to rent the hall because she could enter into a contract and Stanton couldn't.
Oh, interesting.
And the newspaper actually did go bankrupt. Yeah, and Stanton said, "This is your debt, not mine." And Anthony raised all the money to pay off the debt. But she also, with Matilda Joslyn Gage and Elizabeth Cady Stanton, they wrote the first 4 volumes of the history of women's suffrage. No one was writing women's history from a woman's perspective, and so they did that. They're huge volumes of 1,000 pages each. Then they also, she had a woman named Ida Houston Harper write her authorized biography while she was still living. So she made sure that she was in history and that history was told the way she wanted to be told because no one else was going to do it if she didn't do it. She published the transcript of her trial for being convicted of voting and sent it out to libraries all around the country. And so she really did understand the power of the word.
Yeah.
Great idea.
All right. So she had these ideas that clearly angered people. I mean, if a judge behaves that way, right? And if everybody involved in the justice system that was watching it take place seemed to be pretty comfortable with it, then clearly these outrageous ideas that she had angered people.
Yes.
So what was her strategy? Like now we have a situation where the congressional representatives, for a lot of states, are actually not representing what those voters support. Like polls say, for example, some of Biden's policies are very popular. But the representatives are trying to kill the bills. So in her case, did she have a minority of support for what she was doing and then sort of sowed the seeds to educate people and made it into a majority? What was her strategy? That was a very long-winded way of saying what was her strategy.
So she died 14 years before the 19th Amendment was passed. And she worked at this for, 72 years.
And even then, it wasn't a slam dunk, right? Even
now, we're still working on voting rights, right?
Yeah.
All right, I have to say something really awful. What's the 19th Amendment? Damn it.
So the 19th Amendment to the United States Constitution, which was passed in August of 1920, we just celebrated the 100-year anniversary last year. It was nicknamed the Susan B. Anthony Amendment because she had done so much of the work, says that no one could be discriminated on and denied the right to vote on the basis of their sex, and that the United States Congress has the authority to make sure that states respect that law.
Huh. How's that going?
Yes, right. It's still well, and even when it was passed, we're still working on voting rights in this country. And that Anthony, this is why she's so relevant.
Yeah.
Because, people think that it was all about the vote. Well, for her, it actually was about building a better society and human rights for all. And she passionately believed that if every citizen had input, we would make much better policy. We'd be a better nation. We'd take care of the people who most needed care. would be better at this great experiment of democracy. And she did not like partisan politics.
So did she do it through educating people by speaking, by what she printed in her newspaper, or was it strikes, or was it, marches? I have a bad feeling that marches nowadays are benign in a way. It wouldn't stop me from marching, but I'm not seeing what you would think would happen when you can see millions of people going, no, no, no. And then the Congress still does whatever.
Yeah. She said our agitate, educate, organize must be our battle cry. And so she thought first you had to stir people up and get them out of their complacency, and then explain to them what's really going on, and then organize to make change. And in her century, the first thing was this radical idea that every human being, every person was a human being and had rights. And that if we supported one another and if girls grew up with boys, people would have all kinds of skills and talents, and all of life would be better. She saw the agitation and education that led to the Civil War and to the emancipation of people. And so she did believe you could open up people and change their mind by getting them upset enough about the circumstances. But her life was threatened more often when she was working against slavery than when she was working for women's rights. But she would get thrown out of town. They would throw pepper in the potbelly stove, so it created like tear gas, so everybody would leave. Hecklers would go in, she didn't have microphones, and they would scream and yell so that she couldn't be heard over the tops of people. They discredited her. She was too tall, she was too loud, she was too homely, she was too attractive. She was, no matter what it was, they discredited her sexuality, they discredited her looks, they discredited her tone, and that was all to shut down the movement. It's similar tactics as today.
Yeah, it's the January 6th Commission. It's too loud, it's too quiet, it's too weak, it's too strong. It's not time. It's past
time. It's too
time.
late. Yep.
It's too right. Yeah.
Wow. And the newspapers would write that they were the devil incarnate with their crazy ideas. At one point in 1903, she got interviewed, and they were saying too many women are going to college and getting married later, and so it's ruining families, and it's all because of Susan B. Anthony and the suffrage movement.
Wow. What did people think was going to happen if women had the right to vote? I don't think I've ever read about that. I seem to remember something about what people said would happen if slaves were emancipated and black people were given the right to vote. But what was the argument against women voting?
Well, there were different. Some people thought women should have the right to vote because they were more domesticated and we would be a kinder nation. Others thought that they would just vote according to what their husbands told them to vote. But they did, initially they said things like, well, women had never been involved in business, and so they wouldn't be able to make good decisions. And they didn't have an executive center in their brain, so they wouldn't know how to think things through. And then Congress was such a nasty place. Why would you ever send a woman off to be engaged in the work of politics? They said all of those things.
They thought Congress was a nasty place then?
Yes. One congressman knocked another over the head with a cane and gave him a concussion and sent him to the hospital.
Yeah, but I mean, the nastiness, I think, has festered over time. It's grown like a mold.
Right.
So she voted, and by the way, I'm assuming that everyone knew she was going to vote?
Yeah, it was a big deal. It was press all across the country. And women were trying to vote lots of places. Mm-hmm.
So what were the other things that happened leading up to women getting the vote?
Well, she felt that right after the Civil War, this was the great chance for the country to right itself, to get over the sin of slavery. And it was one of my favorite speeches when someone is asking her what the Civil War is about, and she's saying it's to end slavery. And some people are saying they wanted to go back to the way the world was. And she says she doesn't want a union the way it was. She wants a union in fact, not a sham.
Nice.
And it's a very powerful speech. But right away after the Civil War, the women's movement folded itself into the American Equal Rights Association. And their initial agenda of that organization was to get the right to vote for the two biggest groups that didn't have the right to vote, black men and women. And for Susan B. Anthony, women included black women and white women and other women as well. And they actually, they had a whole convention where they folded it together. And I think for her, she saw this moment after the Civil War as really this opportunity to actually have a democracy, to take the vision that was in the Declaration of Independence and the early documents, but really wasn't the country that we had for the first time, and make it right. But within the next 2 years, the Equal Rights Association had split because they felt that they could get an amendment passed to grant Black men the right to vote, but that it would take way too long to get women the right to vote. And she felt betrayed and upset. And it looks like she was opposed to Black men getting the right to vote, which she wasn't. She was opposed to dividing the movement. But that's one of the controversial things as we look at the women's suffrage movement was, was it that I just wanted to have people look like me get the vote, or did I really want everyone to get the vote? And she and Douglas restored their friendship a few years later. But I think, there was that moment 100 years ago for us, 150 years ago now, for us to truly be a nation full of freedom and liberty. And she'd seen that window, and then she saw it shut down. And then she also saw the first Civil Rights Act and Black men getting so much more power and freedom in the 1870s. And then she saw the emergence of Jim Crow, and things like the Tulsa Massacre. And she had Ida B. Wells Barnett, who was a Black woman who wrote all about lynching in the United States, was a visitor at the Anthony House and came to Rochester to speak. And Susan helped promote the record that Ida B. Wells wrote. So she saw the worst and the best of the United States.
How did she die?
She died in the house in 1906 at 86 years old. She was in Baltimore. She came down with pneumonia, and they sent her home on the train. She had said she wanted to go out when she couldn't do the work anymore, and she was making her final speech 2 weeks before she died.
Wow. And let me ask you, how's the house now? You guys open again?
We are open again, and people can come. And, when you come to the house, it's interesting because a lot of people project stuff onto Susan B. Anthony, and they come with ideas about her. Either they idolize her or they don't know anything about her. And the house is a place where both you can learn more about the story, about what she went through and her passion, but also get a sense of the human being. It's a pretty modest house in a very diverse urban neighborhood. That's what it was when she lived there. And we end the tour usually telling people what Susan B. Anthony said about her funeral service. She said, "When I'm gone, let there be no tears. Pass by and get on with the work."
Wow. She could have said, "Let there be only 10 minutes of tears," couldn't she? Honestly.
Actually, 10,000 people stood out in a Rochester blizzard, and we have really good blizzards. So you have her a chance to pay her respects after she died.
Wow. This has been so informative. Thank you. I'd like to be some small sliver of a part of carrying on her work. And B, I would like to not be an idiot at a dinner table.
Well, you can accomplish both of those, I think. But yeah. Deborah, that was excellent. But now we're going to take all that information and run it through the device we call the old Poundstonator. Paula?
House band Ben Cassil on the guitar, harmonica, and kazoo. First of all, it sounds great. Thank you so much. And second of all, if I could get just a little bit of background music, I'll tell you what the old Poundstonator spit out. Oh my gosh. Susan B. Anthony, I can't believe you're here. I am so honored that you would come to see me. Boy, you look just like you did on the silver dollar. No, I don't think they make them anymore. Well, for one thing, people gave them away thinking they were quarters. I know, I agree, it was the cheap people who got upset. Well, I think you'll find we made a lot of progress. They passed the 19th Amendment about 14 years after you died. Well, no, we haven't passed the Equal Rights Amendment yet, but about 50 years ago, but we've come close. Oh, don't make that face. How about this? We've got 3 women on the Supreme Court. Of course, one of them is hell-bent on taking away a woman's right to abortion. Now, you don't look pretty when you frown like that. Over a quarter of the Congress is women now. That ought to put a smile on your face. Well, no, we haven't had a woman president yet, but we almost did. She got a slow start because she didn't want to take her husband's name, and she changed her hairstyle a few times over 40 years, and there was something about some cookies. That angry face doesn't go with that doily collar. How about this? Women make only 33 cents on the dollar less than men. We're almost there. No, I can't tell you what the percentage is. My vagina would dry up and crack off like a fallen leaf.
She is the president and CEO of the National Susan B. Anthony Museum and House in Rochester, New York. Deborah L. Hughes, thank you so much for coming on this program.
Yay!
Thank you.
Thank you so much. It was wonderful.
It was great. Thank you.
Coming up, we've got knowledge, we're going to share it, and that's the factoid, Jacktoid. Our Potluck Info Party is next.
It is hard to get to sleep nowadays. I'm amazed how many different companies there are that are aimed at helping people get to sleep. You know, politics, the pandemic, it's so stressful.
Yeah, well, you know what, Paula, there's Helix Sleep. They have a quiz that takes just 2 minutes to complete, and they match your body type and sleep preferences to the perfect mattress for you. Why would you buy a mattress made for someone else, Paula Poundstone? With Helix, you're getting a mattress that you know will be perfect for the way that you sleep.
Everybody's unique, Adam, and Helix knows that. So they have several different mattress models to choose from. They have soft, medium, and firm mattresses. Mattresses great for cooling you down if you sleep hot, and even a Helix Plus mattress for plus-size sleepers.
Bonnie Burns, you had a mattress made specifically for you by Helix, didn't you?
I did, and I can't tell you how much I'm enjoying the mattress. I used to dread going to sleep, you guys, and now I actually really look forward to going to bed. It was really fun to take the test. The questions are really fun to answer. The mattress came very quickly. It was easy to get up into the bedroom. It was really fun to unroll it and, you know, see it kind of pop up. And it's a very comfortable night's sleep, and I wake up the next morning feeling very rested.
So if you're looking for a mattress, you take the quiz, you order the mattress that you're matched to, and the mattress comes right to your door, shipped for free. You don't ever need to go to a mattress store again.
Helix was awarded #1 best overall mattress pick of 2020 by GQ and Wired Magazine. Just go to helixsleep.com/Paula, take their 2-minute sleep quiz, and they'll match you to a customized mattress that will give you the best sleep of your life, but you're going to have to get your own. You can't have Bonnie's.
Helix is offering up to $200 off all mattress orders and 2 free pillows for our listeners at helixsleep.com/Paula. That's helixsleep.com/Paula for up to $200 off and 2 free pillows. If you're gonna try it anyways, use our code.
Is there something interfering with your happiness or is preventing you from achieving your goals, Carl? BetterHelp will assess your needs and match you with your own licensed professional therapist, and you can start communicating in under 48 hours.
It's not a crisis line. It's not self-help. It is professional counseling done securely online. BetterHelp offers a broad range of expertise worldwide, which may not be locally available in many areas.
You just log into your account anytime, send a message to your counselor, and you'll get timely and thoughtful responses. Plus, you can schedule a weekly video or phone session so you won't ever have to sit in an uncomfortable waiting room as you do with that traditional therapy.
Oh, that's my favorite thing.
Yeah.
BetterHelp is committed to facilitating great therapeutic matches, so they make it easy and free to change counselors if needed. It's more affordable than traditional offline counseling, and financial aid is available.
BetterHelp wants you to start living a happier life today. Visit betterhelp.com/Paula. That's better, HELP, and join the over 1 million people who have taken charge of their mental health with the help of an experienced professional.
In fact, so many people have been using BetterHelp that they're recruiting additional counselors in all 50 states. This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp, and Nobody Listens to Paula Poundstone listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/Paula. Mental health is health.
It is, and if you're going to make the call anyway,
use our code.
Fun fact, Babies don't shed tears until they're several weeks old and their tear ducts fully developed. So remember, when your newborn cries, he's totally faking it. And we're back. And I got to tell you, Paula, I am reeling both from that interview about Susan B. Anthony, but also from the unexpected fact at the top of this show that a bet that I thought was over, the bet that we could find two of our listeners who played Oliver as a kid and would sing us a little bit of Who Will Buy, that we've found a second listener. You win.
Yeah. There, we got two, which means I win. Oh my gosh. Adam, answer the phone.
Really?
Yeah, answer the phone.
All right. Hello?
Hey, Adam, it's just me, Mike Boom Boom Bonifant again. You know, you're gonna kill me, man. Can you believe this shit? So I'm kicking back, having a brewski, watching the game, you know, and my buddy Joe calls, Joe Medeiros, you know. So I'm like, hey, Joe, how you doing, man? And he says, aren't you friends with Adam Felber? And I say, well, I don't know what you mean friends, but, you know, we hang out after the game a lot, you know. I mean, I give the guy advice sometimes, but I'm mostly a loner, you know. And he says, he has a bet with Paula Poundstone on Nobody Listens to Paula Poundstone that there isn't more than one listener that played Oliver in a children's or school production of Oliver that would record themselves singing Who Will Buy. I said, I know that man. Adam Felber's like my best friend. And just then, Joe Madeira starts to sing the Who Will Buy song. I couldn't fucking believe it. Listen to this.
Who will buy this wonderful morning? Such a sky you never did see. Ooh. Who will tie it up with a ribbon and put it in a box for me, so I can see it at my leisure whenever things go wrong, and I would keep it as a treasure to last my whole life long. Who will buy this wonderful feeling? I'm so high, I swear I could fly.
Fuck, man, I'm high too.
I don't want to lose it. So what am I to do to keep the sky so blue? There must be someone who will buy.
So, are you saying your friend Joe Medeiros, our listener, also played Oliver as a kid?
Yeah, I played Oliver when he was a kid in a kids production of Oliver. I'm really sorry, man. You really lost this bet. You double dog lost. You lost like Trump with the popular vote. Oh, did you lose, man?
Well,
I'm really sorry, man. I you know, I just couldn't lie.
Feels like now that the bet's over, you were just kind of calling to rub it in, Mike.
Well, you know, when Joe called, he's a friend of mine. And so I knew that he would want me to call you. So listen, I gotta go.
All right.
It's good talking to you. We'll hang out after the game.
Yeah, no, we won't. All right. Goodbye, Mike. Wow. Well, Paula, you are entitled to your victory lap. Yeah.
What is that, 3? Now there's been 3? Whoo, baby. Yeah.
All right, everybody. That was fun, but we have to get to some very important business because it is time, once again, for our Potluck Info Party.
Adam, answer the phone.
What?
Adam, answer the phone.
Jesus Christ. Hello?
Oh, Adam, it's me, Penelope Vanderbottom.
Hi, Penelope.
Do you know why I'm speaking Spanish, Adam?
Penelope, you're not speaking Spanish. You just said hello in Spanish, but everything else has been in English.
Como está, Stickler? Do you know why I'm speaking Spanish?
No, I don't know why you've spoken 3 words of Spanish.
Well, I'll tell you, Adam, I have discovered a Goya in the wall behind the refrigerator at Paula Poundstone's house, and I don't mean beans. My little stickler friend, I mean a painting by Francisco Day. Of course, I appreciate it for the artistic value. It's a striking piece, just a breathtaking work, but it also bears making note that Paula Poundstone is going to be rich. She'll probably quit the podcast.
Well, Penelope, haven't you said you found art at Paula's house before?
I have, Adam. I found some treasured works.
Right, that's what you've said, but Paula doesn't seem to have profited financially. She still lives in that termite-filled house that the landlord won't attend to. I'm not sure that these have been authentic, valuable art pieces.
Oh, they have been. They've been worth millions. The truth is, Adam, Paula has had a lot of debt. Her financial plan has been something akin to break the piggy if the tires go bald.
So you're saying she has spent millions of dollars paying off debt?
She also dry cleans her suits. It's sad, isn't it?
I feel stupid for asking, but what Goya painting have you found?
Oh, don't feel stupid, Adam. Not everyone knows Goya. I've spent years studying Goya. It appears to be another version of El Tre de Mayo, and I don't mean mayonnaise. The Spanish freedom fighter has his hands up, but he's wearing a T-shirt, and he has a big smile on his face like he doesn't even know the French army firing squad is about to shoot him. It's so much more nuanced than the other one. Plus, Goya has used some neon colors, which really makes it pop.
Yeah, that doesn't sound authentic at all.
It is, though. It is. Look, I've got to go. Okay. I'm presenting at the Gardner. Bye-bye.
Bye, Penelope Vanderbottom. Wow, this has been a call fest today. So, Paula, apparently you're going to be rich, although I'm going to put some... I bet down that you're not going to be rich from this painting.
Well, it was a remarkable discovery. It was behind the refrigerator. There's a lot of room for stuff back there because the termites have eaten out the whole wall.
But not that painting.
So that's good. That's a positive. But it looks very much like the original. But of course, the difference is that Ms. Vanderbottom mentioned.
Yeah. And the neon colors.
Yeah, I'm already planning on doing more dry cleaning. With what I'm going to make.
Don't spend that in advance is all I got to say. But all I can say is that let's put that aside for now because it is time for our Potluck Info Party.
Hey, it's a Potluck Info Party. It's a Potluck Info Party. It's a Potluck Info Party. Yeah.
Wow. Bonnie Burns, our self-appointed new segment theme song composer and performer.
Yeah.
You
know, it's like how when you hear the theme song for Mary Tyler Moore or I Love Lucy and just you get a dopamine hit in your brain just from hearing the theme song because you know good stuff is coming. And that's the feeling I get from that beautiful theme song.
Yeah, between her singing and your Glock playing, this show is becoming a musical treat for everybody. We have the Potluck Info Party is a great new tradition on the show, and we all bring little bits of info, little factoids to the party. And because we don't have Tony Anita Hull...
no, she's rowing a boat out to a cruise ship.
Right.
Terrible mistake.
We do have some special guests this week, don't we?
Yes. Well, first of all, it's not much of a party with just the three of us. So we thought, for the Potluck Info Party, we have with us our intern.
That would be Carly Patron, yes.
Hi, guys.
Welcome, Carly.
Oh, my
I'm here,
gosh.
I'm alive.
Yeah, this, the history of this position has been dangerous.
Fraught. Well, we all remember Doug. May he rest in peace.
So thank you so much for joining us. It's Carly Patron. And then we have Tyler Burke, who's filling in while Tony's rowing.
Yeah.
Hey, everyone. Hey,
welcome, Tyler.
Thank you for having me.
Longtime fans might remember Tyler's name from helping us out around when we were at Ray Horseman Studios. Welcome back, Tyler.
Thank you. It's nice to be in my own home and not on Miranda Street, as much as I miss it.
Yeah, I'll tell you. I'm putting down dog waste and unbent hangers just all around the inside of my house.
Just to make you feel more comfortable? Yeah.
Yeah, like Miranda Street. That's not what it was like inside the studio, but getting inside the studio, you had to walk through some stuff.
Yeah, you sure did. Hey, Paula, why don't you kick off the Potluck Info Party with a piece of potluck information?
Yeah.
Bonnie's role seems to be expanding.
Yeah, it is. Now it's become interstitial. Elephants cannot jump.
Wow.
They can't jump at all?
Yeah. No.
So Dumbo would have been just as impressive if he just jumped.
Well, I don't think so, but Dumbo couldn't have jumped. He could fly because of the ears, but the ears weren't going to make jumping possible, I don't think. I mean, I'm not an engineer.
I did not know that you can't even train an elephant to jump. It just can't happen.
No. No, they can stand up on their two hind feet and stuff like that. I'd rather they didn't. But, years ago I went to Africa, on a photo safari, and we went around in a van, the tour group did, and we would go past trees that were knocked down, and the van driver would go, "Oh, the elephants," because when they rubbed themselves on the tree, they would knock the tree down. But one thing was for sure, they weren't jumping. And you know those videos where they'll show like goats and dogs and deer on trampolines? You never see an elephant.
Wow, that's right. You never see an elephant on a trampoline. I didn't realize that was the reason. Well, that's a great little piece of information that now our listeners have, thanks to you, Paula Poundstone. Let's continue this. I'm going to go to Carly Patrone.
All right. I've got a fun fact. You guys get to choose either the U.S. Supreme Court building or Abraham Lincoln.
Ooh.
Abe Lincoln.
Bonnie wants Abe
Lincoln.
Okay. You may not have known that the president had a bodyguard named John Frederick Parker with him on the fateful night when he was shot. And unfortunately, Parker was a police officer with a less than stellar reputation. After arriving 3 hours late for his shift, the officer left his post protecting the president to get a drink at the Star Saloon next door to the theater. It was during the time that Booth entered the box seats where Lincoln was sitting and shot the president.
That sounds pretty suspicious timing-wise. Has anybody looked into that?
Ooh, I didn't think about that.
Yeah, I think we might be on the verge of uncovering a conspiracy.
Yeah, no, wasn't it Our American Cousin or My American Cousin was the name of the play, I think?
I think it was Our American Cousin. Yeah, that was a play playing at Ford's Theater.
And it wasn't very good. That play wasn't supposed to be very good. So,
I didn't know that.
This is one of the only times noted in history when, if the play had been better, the president would still be alive.
All right, so let's keep moving here. How about Tyler? Tyler Burke, what do you got?
Sure, yeah. So in 2011, Samoa switched time zones across the international date line, thereby skipping Friday, December 30th entirely and beginning the following day as Saturday, December 31st. So in Samoa, Friday, December 30th, 2011 never happened.
Wow. That's really interesting.
Is there a reason they did that? Am I missing what the reason was?
There is a reason. It's not as exciting as you might want as like time travel or something. They did more trade with people that were on that new side of the international timeline, which is like New Zealand, Australia.
Follow the money.
It's always money.
Huh. Yeah. Apparently they can just do that in Samoa. They can just skip any day they don't like.
Yeah.
We should have skipped January 9th. We're fools.
You mean January 6th?
The 6th, yes, my mistake.
Yeah. We should have gone straight to the 7th. I agree with you.
Yeah, that explains why I was late for the insurrection. Because I thought it was the 9th. Damn it.
Oh, well, next time, Paula, you'll get there.
Yeah. And when I got there, the Congress wouldn't let me in. Oh.
All right. Well, Tyler and Carly, you guys have really stepped up and brought some real information here. Let me head over to Bonnie Burns, who doubtless has a great pearl for us as well. What do you got, Bonnie?
Okay, well, 3/4 of the ancient cave art paintings were done by women. And it's always been assumed that they were done by men.
Who assumed it?
it was just an assumption that it was men. Like of all the archaeologists in archaeological circles, they just thought it was men. And in 2013, there was a study done by archaeologists at the University of Pennsylvania. And a lot of popular cave art is handprints. And he actually measured the length of fingers and figured out that it was actually women that had done the majority of the paintings.
What if it was the tiny fingered Vulgarian?
Yes. and what if it was just sort of like, oh, honey, me need handprint here, but my hand's too big and clumsy.
Yeah,
So, I thought
could have
that
been
was pretty interesting.
It is interesting.
Yeah.
I questioned the findings a little bit, but I had never assumed that it was mostly men doing the cave painting.
I guess I had.
I think a lot of feminists are using that to say a lot of times women do a lot of work and men get the credit for it.
You know, when I was a kid, in my bedroom, I had this wallpaper that was like poodles that were standing upright and pulling wagons. And I colored on it once. And, with crayons, yeah. And my mother tried to clean it with some sort of cleanser, and so it just, fucked up the wall. And I got spanked for that. And I always think about cave art. I think, did anybody get hit for that, for coloring on the wall?
They might have. And I got to tell you, I don't know that women want to take credit for those cave paintings because they're not that good. They're kind of boring. It's a lot of mammoth hunting.
Wow.
It's another, oh, wow, look at that. We're hunting mammoths again.
Yeah. Do you see what the men do? They just, if a woman did it, then it turns out I never liked it to begin with. That's what it is,
Yeah, and your house is decorated in nothing but cave art, Paula.
No, it's just a thing. It was like, so a woman did it. Oh, well, then you know what? Turns out I thought I did like it, but I don't. I didn't really.
Yeah.
So if it turned out that, if at the end of, watching the Super Bowl one day, all the players took off their helmets and, long banana curls fell down behind their heads and you realized they had breasts and you went, whoa, shit, it was women playing. You go, it turns out I don't really like football. I just never really cared for football.
All right, hey, there's one more piece of potluck info, and that's coming from me. And this is actually breaking science news, or it's broken in the last couple of weeks, I think, and it's really cool. You know the Northern Lights, the Aurora Borealis, and there are other auroras on the planet where just the sky lights up with like green and purple energy and stuff like that?
I've heard about it.
Yeah. So for years, scientists have thought, well, we kind of think we know what might be going on here. But just like in these last couple of weeks, they've proven that they do know. We now know what causes the Aurora Borealis.
And what is it?
Well, it turns out that there are these disturbances in the Earth's magnetic field. These disturbances are called Alfvén waves. And essentially, it's fluctuating magnetism at the poles that's bringing down these ions from space, which end up kind of like surfing down on magnetic waves and colliding with oxygen particles and lighting up the sky.
What's the new part? What's the part we didn't know?
We didn't know that it was the Earth's own magnetism and the way it kind of like fluctuates. If you can think of an invisible wind.
That's ridiculous. I knew that. What are you kidding? I didn't realize this. How long have you not known that?
Well, I just thought it was a theory, but I'm embarrassed now that you knew it and I didn't.
Oh, jeez. I would have told you. What, Adam, when you don't know something, you need to reach out and ask, because I would have told you that a long time.
Yeah,
and there were scientists that didn't know that?
Yeah, it was. I mean, pretty much every scientist on the planet didn't know for a fact that was it until they were able to recently simulate it in a lab and actually got the lab to glow with an aurora.
Okay, let me just say this. Scientists, here's my phone number. 310-828-0431. Call anytime. There's never too late. And I can answer these kinds of questions for you. I had no idea people didn't know that. That's just,
You knew it was those things, huh?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
What are they called again?
The poles. We had poles, magnetic poles.
Yeah, but what's the thing that pulls it down? What are those waves
ions.
called?
It was the ions.
No, ions are what's being pulled down, but...
Yeah.
Huh. Anyway. Well, you knew and I didn't, so that is... Yeah. And that is that is it for our Potluck Info Party.
Yeah!
Hey, welcome, Carly. Welcome, Tyler. Thank you so much.
Great job, both of you. That was really fantastic.
Yeah,
It was a pleasure.
Yeah. Well, nobodies, if you have any questions or comments, or you just want to talk about our Potluck Info Party, send that stuff to nobodylistens@gmail.com. Paula, what's going on in your Poundstone product empire this week?
I'll tell you, Adam, when a company like Poundstone Industries, also known as Lipstick Nancy Incorporated, is strengthened over time by the skilled hand of leadership, success is an easy lift. It's only a matter of weeks before my subsidiary company, Paula Poundstone is a Poophead, produces its first harvest of worm castings from the funniest farm there is. Listeners can order a personalized video message also I can make for their friends, loved ones, or landlord from cameo.com/PaulaP33. That's cameo.com/PaulaP33. And as if that's not enough, on Saturday, July 24th, I'll be in Lincoln, Nebraska at the Lead Center for the Performing Arts. And on Saturday, August 14th, I'll be telling my little jokes in Bayfield, Wisconsin at the Lake Superior Big Top Chautauqua. I tell you about my remarkably soft tri-polyblend t-shirts, but Heidi...
Yeah, I get it. Heidi, if I could have just one more word, I just want to implore all our listeners to go out there and get the Hot Mic app. That's HOTMIC. It's an app that you can get for your phones or in your computers. And come join me and Jeff Cesario as we cover the NBA playoffs. We're doing at least one game a week now. And the magic of the Hot Mic app is that you fire it up on your phone, you let your phone listen to your TV, and all of a sudden, me and Jeff and our expert yet very comedic commentary is synced up with your very TV in your home. And you can chat with us in the little window there. It's like a big watch party for sports fans.
Sounds good.
It is. It's great. And we're not covering any of that women's football neither. Subscribe to this podcast. It's free. You'll get it every week at no charge. If there is a subject or topic that you'd like to know about, tell us. We're at nobodylistens@gmail.com. That's our show. Nobody Listens to Paula Poundstone is hosted by Paula Poundstone and yours truly, Adam DeFelber. Special thanks to our guest, Deborah L. Hughes. Thanks to our house band, Ben Cassil. You can catch
Adam,
Ben and...
Adam,
Yes? What?
Adam, answer the phone.
What? Really? Thought we did that
Adam,
already.
answer the phone.
Jesus. Hello?
Hey, Adam, man, it's me, Mike Boom Boom Bonifit. Long time no talk, huh?
Yeah, like it's been 15 minutes, Mike. What's up?
Yeah, you can use that if you want. It's the least I can do, man. I feel so bad for you.
Want.
You know, anytime you want to talk, just call me. I mean, I'm usually a lone wolf, but this shit happening to you is really fucked up. I don't usually even answer the phone because the IRS has been after me, but just a few minutes ago, I was watching a poker game on the sports channel, and my buddy Kendall Salter calls me from Rochester, Minnesota. He doesn't even listen to Nobody Listens to Paula Poundstone. So I'm like, cool, my buddy Adam is in the clear. And then, boom, he tells me his brother is a listener. And he told him about the bet you have with that bitch, Paula Poundstone. And fuck, if my friend Kendall Salter didn't play Oliver in a children's production of Oliver. Listen to this.
Who will buy this wonderful morning?
Jesus Christ.
Such a sky I never did see. Who will tie it up with a ribbon and put it in a box for me? There you go, Paula. One up on Adam.
Oh, my God. Oh, man. You know what? I tell you what, that's an uplifting song, though. I could start my day with that. Listen, I gotta go. Call me anytime.
I'm not.
What is that?
Never.
That's 4 Olivers, right? There's 4 Olivers. Oh,
No,
man, your life sucks to be you, Adam.
I can only lose the bet once, but bye, Mike. I gotta say, Paula, I like this guy, Kendall. I like his voice, but if he's not a listener to the show, he can't be included in the terms of our bets. Not unless he starts listening to the show or something. So, Kendall, if you want to listen to a show or two, then now Paula's total will stand at 4 because I didn't say when they became listeners. But, obviously ruling on the floor is not a listener.
Kendall is surely to be a listener now. In fact, you know what I'm really happy about is we brought 2 brothers together. That's fantastic.
Well, we don't know that they were having any trouble to begin with. But.
We brought 2 brothers together. Yes, they were at each other's throats in the past.
No, we don't know that.
They had not spoken since What, 10 years? 11 years they hadn't spoken. This is a beautiful story.
All right. Once again, thanks to our house band, Ben Cassil. You can catch...
Adam, answer the phone.
No
Adam,
way.
Answer the phone.
Hello?
Yeah, man. It's just me, Mike. Booba Buffett. That is so touching the way you brought those guys together. I just want to thank you so much for that.
Okay, Mike. So you're saying that they were feuding. Okay.
Yeah. All right, I gotta go.
Okay, bye, Mike.
Bye, Adam.
Man. I'm starting to feel like Mike has more in common with you than me, Paula.
No, that guy. No, that guy loves you. He loves you. I get the sense he would do anything for you.
I think he's kind of verging towards Team Poundstone, And I just feels like the kind of guy that, you might get along with. Anyway, thanks to house band Ben Cassil. You can catch Ben as the co-host of a comedy podcast, Totally Rad, a talk show set in 1996. Our show is produced by Paula Poundstone, Adam Felber, Bonnie Burns, Ken Lezebnik, Tony Anita Hull, and Tyler Burke. Intern is Carly Patrone. Starburns production by Land Romo and Sam Dunwald. Transcription services for the show provided by Transcribe Me, a premier internationally used transcription service. Use code Paula Poundstone when placing your order at transcribeme.com to receive an expedited service.
That's our show for tonight. Won't somebody please listen to me?
Well, who will buy? Who would have guessed?
Who will buy this wonderful... Adam.
What?
Answer the phone.
During the music, you think at the end? We never do. Hello?
Yeah. Hey, man, Adam. It's just me, Mike. Boom, boom, Buffett.
Mike, I appreciate that you are also whispering during this play out thing.
Yeah. Oh, I don't want to... Listen, man, you would be doing me a big favor, like a solid, man. Could you do me a solid and not tell anybody that I cried about you reunited those brothers? Can you do that for me, man?
I really can't, Mike. It's on the podcast.
Oh, fuck. Oh, fuck, bro.
It's okay, Mike. Men cry.
Yeah. Pussy, man. All right, I gotta go.
Bye, Mike.
Wow. He's really emotional.
Starburns Audio, a podcast network.